All right, let's talk about something that's going to sting a little at first. Nobody cares about you. No, seriously, nobody cares. Not in the way you think they do. Not in the way you might want them to. And that's actually a good thing. Let me break this down for you, because once you understand this, once you truly get it, your whole approach to life will change. It's time to face some harsh truths, but they're the kind of truths that will set you free. The world, it's busy. People are dealing with their own stuff. They're thinking about their own dreams, their own problems, their own needs. And while that might sound harsh, it's actually liberating. Because once you accept that nobody cares about you in the way you expect them to, you'll stop waiting for permission, stop waiting for validation, and you'll start taking ownership of your own life. You'll stop letting other people's opinions determine your worth, and you'll start building your own foundation from the ground up. You see, a lot of people are waiting for someone to come and pull them out of their situation, waiting for a knight in shining armor, waiting for a big break, waiting for things to fall into place. And I get it. It's easy to feel like you're stuck sometimes, like the cards are stacked against you, like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. But that's not how it works. Nobody owes you anything. The world doesn't owe you success. It doesn't owe you happiness. It doesn't owe you anything. And once you get that, once you understand that, it'll change everything for you. It'll make you realize that if you want anything at all, you've got to go after it with everything you've got. You've got to stop waiting for permission and just start moving. The thing is, most people are stuck in this place of passivity, this waiting game. They want the universe to give them a sign, or they want someone else to give them the go-ahead. But nobody's coming to save you. And that's not a bad thing. It's actually the best news you can hear. Why? Because that means you have the power. You are in control of your own destiny. You don't need anyone's approval to go after your dreams. You don't need anyone's permission to be great. All you need is a commitment to show up every day and do the work, to keep pushing forward when it's tough, to keep grinding when the odds are stacked against you. Because the truth is, it's not about talent. It's not about luck. It's about grit. It's about the willingness to keep going, even when you feel like quitting. The world doesn't care if you quit, but you do. And you have to be willing to dig deep when things get hard and keep going. You got to realize that your success is your responsibility. You can't look at other people and say, well, if I had their circumstances, I'd be where I want to be. No, it doesn't work that way. You can't blame your situation on the people around you. You can't blame your failures on your upbringing, your environment, or anything else. It's all on you. The people around you, they have their own lives to live. They have their own dreams, their own struggles. They're not going to drop everything to fix your problems. And that's not a knock on them, it's just reality. So you've got to stop waiting for someone else to fix it. You've got to be the one to do the work. Now, let's get something clear. When I say you're responsible, I'm not talking about taking on the whole world and thinking you've got to do everything yourself. I'm talking about taking full accountability for your own actions, your own choices. It's easy to point the finger, easy to blame someone or something else when things don't go the way you want them to. But that's a dead-end road. Accountability means you own up to your role in whatever happens, good or bad. You can't change the past. You can't go back and rewrite your story, but you can control what happens moving forward. You can make different choices. You can show up every day, put in the work, and choose to keep pushing even when it's difficult. Here's another thing to understand. Life doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if you're frustrated. It doesn't care if you feel like it's not fair. Life is going to keep going. The sun is going to rise, the world is going to keep turning, and the clock is ticking. So if you want to do something with your life, if you want to make a change, if you want to create something, then you've got to move with it. You can't sit on the sidelines and hope things get better. You've got to be proactive. You've got to act. And that means showing up every single day, even when you don't feel like it. It means getting up when you fall down. It means staying focused when distractions try to pull you away from your goals. It means doing what needs to be done even when the world seems to be against you. Because the truth is, no one's going to do it for you. When you're grinding it out, when you're working on your dream, it's going to be tough. People are going to doubt you. People are going to tell you it's not worth it, that you're wasting your time. And sometimes, you're going to start doubting yourself. But let me tell you this, doubt is normal, but it doesn't get to control you. If you give in to that doubt, if you let it stop you, you've already lost. It's not about being confident every single day. It's about being determined. It's about having the resilience to keep moving, to keep doing the work, to keep pushing forward even when the path isn't clear. Here's something else: you've got to make your own opportunities. Too many people sit around waiting for a break, waiting for the phone to ring, waiting for someone to come along and offer them the perfect job or the perfect opportunity. But guess what? That's not how it works. You've got to create your own opportunities. You've got to put in the time, put in the effort, and show the world what you've got. If you want to be successful, if you want to make a name for yourself, you've got to put yourself out there. You've got to be willing to fail, to get knocked down, and to get back up every time. Opportunities don't just fall into your lap, they come to those who are prepared and willing to work for them. And listen, nobody's going to believe in you more than you believe in yourself. You can't wait for others to validate your worth. You can't wait for the world to tell you that you're good enough. If you want it, if you're serious about it, then you've got to believe in yourself first. You've got to trust your own abilities and have the confidence to take action, even when others doubt you. People will always have their opinions, but at the end of the day, their opinions don't define you. What defines you is your work ethic, your passion, your belief that you can achieve anything you set your mind to. If you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. So, make that decision. Commit to yourself, commit to your goals, and let your actions show the world what you're capable of. Now, let's talk about sacrifice. If you want to get to the next level, if you want to be successful, then you have to understand that it's going to require sacrifice. You can't have it all. You can't live the same way you've always lived and expect a different result. You've got to be willing to sacrifice comfort for progress. You've got to be willing to give up some things. Maybe it's time, maybe it's your social life, maybe it's sleep, but whatever it is, you've got to be willing to give it up in exchange for the life you're building. Success demands sacrifice. There's no way around it. But don't think for a second that this sacrifice won't be worth it. Every drop of sweat, every moment of struggle, every single step forward, it'll all be worth it when you start to see the results. When you look back and realize how far you've come, you'll understand that the sacrifice was never a burden. It was an investment in your future. So here's the bottom line. Nobody cares about you in the way that you think they do. And that's okay. Because once you realize that, once you understand that you are the only one who can save you, you'll stop waiting around for things to change on their own. You'll stop looking for someone to hand you the keys to success. Instead, you'll take the keys for yourself. You'll work for them. You'll earn them. And when you do, you'll realize that you didn't need anyone else to save you after all. It was always on you. And once you get that, nothing can stop you. Now get to work. The world does not owe you anything. Let me say that again, the world does not owe you anything. So often we fall into the trap of thinking that life owes us something because of the struggles we've been through, because of the hardships we've faced. We think that if we've had a tough break, then someone somewhere should make it right. That's the victim mentality, and it's dangerous. It's seductive because it's easy to fall into it. It's easy to sit back and feel sorry for yourself. But the truth is, when you sit in that space, when you start expecting life to hand you anything, you lose your power. You're waiting for something that's never coming. The sooner you get this, the sooner you realize that you're not a victim of your circumstances, the sooner you realize that you don't need anyone to rescue you, the sooner you can start taking control. You are not a passive participant in your life, you are the creator of your reality. That's the part people often miss. The reality you're living right now, the good, the bad, and everything in between, is a reflection of the choices you've made up until this point. Some of those choices may have been outside of your control, but there's still a way forward. You can decide what happens next. That's the power you have. The world may not care, but that's exactly why you need to. You need to care. You need to understand that the responsibility is yours. And only when you take ownership of your life, when you step into your power and stop blaming anyone or anything else, will you start to see the changes you want. Now, let me clarify something. I'm not saying that life is easy. I'm not saying that you should go through life alone, or that you shouldn't have a support system, or that you don't need people who care about you. What I'm saying is that no one is going to do the work for you. Nobody's going to hand you success on a silver platter. And if you're waiting for that, then you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. Nobody's going to come in and solve your problems for you. Sure, people may help along the way. People might give you advice. They might point you in the right direction. But at the end of the day, it's your actions that matter. It's your decision to get up and do something every day that makes the difference. And think about it this way. You can't outsource your success. You can't hire someone to be successful for you, to live your dreams for you. You can't expect someone else to put in the effort that it takes to achieve greatness. That's your job. You've got to do it. You've got to do the hard work when it's uncomfortable, when you don't feel like it, when you're exhausted, when you don't have the energy. You've got to push through the days when you're not motivated, because motivation isn't always going to be there, but discipline will be. Discipline is the key. Discipline means showing up every day, whether you feel like it or not. It's what separates the winners from the quitters. It's what keeps you going when the world seems indifferent to your struggle. And trust me, there will be days when the world feels indifferent to your hustle, when it feels like you're putting in all this work and nobody notices. But the truth is, you don't need anyone to notice. You don't need anyone to give you a pat on the back for doing what you're supposed to do. The world doesn't care about your struggle, but you do. And that's what makes it worth it. The thing is, we all want to feel validated. We all want to know that what we're doing matters, that we're making progress. It's easy to fall into the trap of needing others to tell us we're on the right track, to get that reassurance that we're doing it right. But if you keep waiting for someone else's approval, you're going to be waiting forever. The validation you seek is already within you. You have to be the one who believes in your own journey, your own process, and your own purpose. You can't rely on others to tell you that you're doing a good job. You have to know deep down that you're doing what you need to do, even if nobody else sees it yet. It's that belief in yourself, that self-confidence that will carry you when times get tough. And let's talk about the fear, because fear is something that stops so many people from taking action. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of rejection. But here's the thing, fear is normal. Fear doesn't go away, but you can learn to move through it. You can't let fear control your actions. If you wait until you're not afraid, you'll never move. You'll never take that first step. You have to act in spite of the fear. Because if you're waiting for the fear to go away, you're going to be waiting your whole life. Fear is a part of the journey, but it's not what's going to stop you unless you let it. When you embrace the fact that nobody's going to save you but you start to step into your power. You start to realize that the only way forward is through. You've got to put in the effort. You've got to stop waiting for things to get easier or for the stars to align. There's no such thing as a perfect moment. The perfect moment is now. The perfect moment is when you decide to take action. That's when things start to shift. Not when everything is in place, but when you decide that you are going to start moving in the direction of your dreams, regardless of how perfect or imperfect your circumstances are. And listen, don't let anyone tell you that the road to success is easy. It's not. You're going to fall down. You're going to hit walls. You're going to face rejection. You're going to question yourself. But that's the test. That's the moment when you have to dig deeper. That's when you have to show yourself that you're serious. Because it's in those tough moments, in those moments where it feels like nothing is going your way, that your true character is revealed. That's when you find out who you really are. That's when you prove to yourself that you're willing to keep going, no matter what. And when you're in the trenches, when you're grinding, when you're doing the work, and no one's around to see it, that's when the real growth happens. You see, the world may not care about you, but you care about yourself. You care about what you're building, about who you're becoming, about what you're creating. And that's all that matters. Because the truth is, nobody's going to care about your dreams the way you do. And that's the way it's supposed to be. You're the one who's invested in your own future. You're the one who has to put in the hours, the sweat, the hard work. And when you do that, when you make that commitment to yourself, you're not just building a future, you're building your legacy. So let me say this again, nobody's coming to save you. But once you realize that, once you accept it, you'll realize you don't need saving. You've got everything you need to create the life you want. The power is already within you. It's time to take control, to stop waiting, and to start building. Your future is waiting for you, but only if you choose to go after it. Now go make it happen. This idea of nobody's going to save you, but you goes far beyond just a simple statement. It's a mindset shift that can completely transform your life. The moment you accept that responsibility is yours and yours alone, you begin to unlock a level of power that most people don't even know they have. When you stop waiting for someone else to come in and fix things for you, you stop being a passenger in your own life. You start driving. And there's a freedom in that, a freedom that allows you to stop playing the victim, stop blaming others for your circumstances, and instead take charge of your own future. Let's be real, for many people, the first step is the hardest. It's the most difficult thing, to take accountability for your life, especially if you've spent a long time feeling like you don't have control. Maybe you've been through hardships, maybe life hasn't been kind, maybe you've been dealt a rough hand. But here's the kicker, nobody cares. Not in a malicious way, but in a very real, practical sense. People are living their own lives, dealing with their own challenges. So, you've got to face the cold truth. It's not up to them to make your life better. It's up to you. Think about it. How many times have you looked at someone else's life and thought, they've got it made? If I had their opportunities, their upbringing, their luck, maybe I'd be where they are. We all do it. It's easy to fall into that mindset. But here's the truth, nobody gets a free pass. Everybody's been through something. Everybody's had setbacks, hardships, failures, and moments where they doubted themselves. What separates those who make it from those who don't is not talent, not connections, not luck, it's resilience. It's the ability to keep going when things get tough, to keep moving forward when the world is pushing you back. And that resilience, that tenacity comes from understanding that you are the one who has to do it. There's no superhero coming to swoop in and fix your problems. No one's going to hand you the life you want. But that's actually great news, because once you understand that, you realize just how much power you have. If nobody else is in control of your destiny, then you are. You have the power to change your circumstances. You have the ability to decide what happens next. That's freedom, my friend. That's the power to choose. And once you get that, everything else falls into place. You might be asking yourself, but what if I fail? What if I mess up? What if I'm not good enough? Here's the reality, failure is part of the process. It's not something to avoid, it's something to embrace. If you're not failing, then you're probably not pushing yourself hard enough. If you're not failing, then you're playing it too safe. The greatest lessons come from the biggest failures. So if you're afraid of fail, you're going to be afraid to grow. You're going to be afraid to take risks. And if you're too afraid to take risks, then you'll never know what you're truly capable of. But when you take personal responsibility, you take back control. You say, this is on me. The decisions I make today will shape my tomorrow. That's when the real power kicks in. You're no longer at the mercy of outside forces. You've realized that the only thing standing between you and the life you want is your own choices. So what are you going to choose? Are you going to choose to stay stuck in the same place, blaming the world around you? Or are you going to take responsibility for your future, step up, and make things happen? Remember this, success is not a straight line. It's not a path that's always smooth, always easy, always predictable. It's filled with twists, turns, and bumps along the way. But the key is that you keep going. You keep pushing forward one step at a time, even when the road gets tough. That's how you build the kind of strength that can't be broken. That's how you develop the kind of mindset that doesn't quit. And that's how you become the kind of person who doesn't need saving, because you've learned how to save yourself. The world doesn't care about your struggle, but you do. You care about where you're going. You care about how hard you've worked to get there. And that's enough. Because at the end of the day, when you look in the mirror, when you look at your progress, when you see how far you've come, you'll know that you did it. You didn't wait for anyone to save you. You didn't wait for the perfect circumstances. You didn't wait for a handout. You did the work. And that's what makes you unstoppable. We live in a world where it's easy to point the finger, where it's easy to blame external circumstances, people, situations, or even the system for where we find ourselves. It's easy to blame the past, to say I didn't have the opportunities they had, or I didn't have the right breaks. But the reality is, blaming others or circumstances is the quickest way to remain stuck. The moment you stop pointing fingers at the world around you and start looking inward, you unlock the power that you need to change your life. That's the truth. The world is not going to change because of your complaints. The world is not going to get better because you wish it would. But the world will change because you decide to take control of it. And let's be real for a second, no one is coming to help you. No one is going to wave a magic wand and change your situation for you. That's a hard pill to swallow for many people, but once you accept it, your life will take on a new level of focus, clarity, and urgency. Because when you know that the only way forward is through, when you understand that the power to change your life lies within you, you stop waiting for the world to hand you anything. You stop expecting things to fall into place without any effort, and instead you begin to take real, intentional action toward your goals. And the thing is, when you start taking responsibility, when you stop giving your power away, the universe starts to align itself with your new purpose. A huge part of this is ownership. When you take ownership of your decisions, both good and bad, you stop seeing yourself as a victim and start seeing yourself as the creator of your own life. Sure, life can be tough. Sure, there will be obstacles you didn't anticipate. There will be hardships that knock you down and make you question everything. But you have to make a choice. Will you let those obstacles define you, or will you use them to propel you forward? Think about it. Every successful person you know, every person who's achieved greatness, has gone through some kind of struggle. They've faced adversity. They've encountered setbacks, failures, rejections, and disappointments. But here's the difference, they didn't let those things stop them. They didn't look at a failure and say, that's it, I'm done. They didn't let their challenges become excuses. They owned those challenges, they took responsibility for them and used them as lessons. They didn't allow themselves to be victims of their circumstances, they became masters of their own fate. Taking responsibility isn't just about accepting what happens in your life. It's about making sure you're doing everything you can to steer your own ship. It's about understanding that your decisions today are what will shape the outcome tomorrow. If you're not happy with where you are, don't blame anyone else. Look at the choices you've made. Look at what you've done or not done. Look at where you've invested your time, your energy, and your focus. And realize that you have the power to change all of it. But here's the thing, taking responsibility isn't always easy. It's not always glamorous. Sometimes the hardest thing you'll do is look in the mirror and say, I'm the reason I'm here. But once you do that, once you accept full responsibility for your life, you take away the excuses. You take away the power of anything or anyone else to control your future. Because if it's all on you, then it means you can change it. You can take different actions, make different choices, and create a new path for yourself. This isn't about guilt or shame. This is about empowerment. It's about understanding that at any given moment, you have the ability to change your life. You have the ability to make decisions that will move you closer to your goals. You have the power to learn from your mistakes and turn those lessons into fuel for your future. You are not defined by your circumstances. You are defined by what you choose to do in the face of them. And don't get me wrong, it's not that life is always going to be easy. It won't be. There will always be challenges. There will always be obstacles. But the difference is that when you take responsibility, those obstacles become opportunities. Opportunities to prove your resilience, to prove your grit, and to prove that you're capable of more than you ever thought possible. Every time life knocks you down, you get up. Every time you encounter a setback, you find a way to turn it into a lesson. And every time you face a challenge, you become stronger. That's how you build the kind of resilience that doesn't break. That's how you turn failure into success. And let's talk about this idea of mastering yourself. Because once you accept that you are responsible for your life, once you own your actions and decisions, the next step is mastering yourself. And that means discipline, focus, and self-control. It means having the courage to do what's right, even when it's hard. It means pushing through the pain, the doubt, the frustration, and the setbacks, because you know that your actions today will dictate the life you live tomorrow. This is where so many people falter. They think that success is about talent, or that it's about the perfect circumstances, or that it's about waiting for some magical moment. But no, success is about consistency. It's about showing up every day, doing the work, even when it's hard, and believing that every small effort will eventually lead to a big result. It's about creating the habits that will propel you forward, even when the path is not clear, even when the world is telling you to quit. You're not going to reach your goals by taking shortcuts or by relying on luck. You're going to get there by putting in the work, day in and day out, by mastering yourself, by developing the kind of discipline that keeps you going even when you don't feel like it, even when you're not motivated, even when the whole world seems to be moving in the opposite direction. Because at the end of the day, self-discipline is the bridge between your goals and your accomplishments. And when you take full responsibility for your actions, when you commit to self-discipline, you realize that success is something you can control. It's not something that just happens to you. It's something you create with every decision you make. And let me tell you, once you get this, once you embrace responsibility as your superpower, the world will start to open up. No longer will you be waiting for things to happen. No longer will you be waiting for the right moment, or the right people, or the right circumstances. You will be out there creating the moment, creating the opportunities, and making things happen for yourself. Because you understand now that it's all on you. No one else is coming to save you. You are the hero of your own story. So the question becomes, what are you going to do with that power? Are you going to keep waiting, blaming, and hoping? Or are you going to step up, take full responsibility, and create the life you want to live? The choice is yours. The responsibility is yours. And that's the most empowering thing of all. Now go out there and take control of your life. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for someone else to make the decision for you. Take action. Be the creator of your destiny. Be the one who takes responsibility for their own success. Because when you do, that's when you'll start to see just how much power you really have, and nothing will be able to stop you. Absolutely. Let's continue to expand on this important concept of taking responsibility for your life and diving deeper Interpersonal transformation that happens when you truly internalize that nobody's coming to save you but you. It's a profound shift that forces you to stop deflecting blame, stop making excuses, and to realize that the life you create is entirely in your hands. Once you take full responsibility for your actions, decisions, and circumstances, the entire dynamic of your life changes. And I want to make sure we fully explore what this means on a deep, practical, and philosophical level. When we talk about taking responsibility, we're not just talking about saying, yeah, I'm responsible. That's surface level accountability. I'm talking about true ownership, the kind of ownership that requires you to look in the mirror and say, I am the architect of my own future. You can no longer let outside circumstances, external forces, or the people around you determine what your life will look like. You are the one who decides what happens next. This realization can be uncomfortable at first. Why? Because it forces you to come face to face with the truth. It forces you to admit that you are the one who has been making decisions up until this point, good or bad. They've been your decisions. No one else is to blame. It's easy to play the victim, to blame others for your lack of success, to look at your circumstances and say, well, it's the economy, or I didn't have the right education, or I wasn't born into the right family. But the truth is, those are just excuses. And as long as you continue to rely on excuses, you'll stay stuck in the same place. I want to ask you, when you make excuses, what are you really doing? You're giving away your power. You're allowing the world around you to dictate what you can achieve, rather than asserting control over your own destiny. This is something we have to understand on a visceral level. The moment you stop making excuses, the moment you stop blaming your circumstances, you take back your power. You stop being a passive observer of your life and start becoming the main character in your own story. Let me give you an analogy. Imagine you're driving a car, but you keep your hands off the wheel. Instead of steering the car, you're just sitting back, allowing the car to move wherever it wants. You don't care where it goes, and you certainly don't care how you get there. Now that's fine if you want to end up somewhere random, but if you want to get somewhere specific, you need to take responsibility for steering the wheel. Taking responsibility for your life is like grabbing the steering wheel and saying, I'm going to drive this car to my destination. If you've ever found yourself in a situation where you didn't achieve what you set out to do, whether it's a business goal, a personal development goal, or a relationship, you probably experienced the discomfort of realizing that you are the one who allowed that situation to unfold the way it did. We all go through it, but the key is, once you own that, you stop being a victim to your circumstances. You start thinking critically about your actions and the choices you make, and you realize that those choices are the building blocks of your reality. You're the one who decided to procrastinate. You're the one who chose to keep making excuses, telling yourself, I'll do it tomorrow. You're the one who avoided uncomfortable conversations or took shortcuts in the hope that things would work out on their own. The truth is, you are in control of the time and energy you invest in things. And when you take responsibility for how you spend both of those precious resources, you start to shift the course of your life. Now, taking responsibility also means not just looking at the big decisions you've made, but also the small, everyday decisions. These are the ones that add up to create your life. When you take responsibility for how you use your time, when you take responsibility for your habits, the way you speak to yourself, and the way you interact with others, you start to realize that each moment is a choice. Each decision, no matter how small, builds upon the next. It's these incremental changes, this relentless focus on improvement, that over time create massive shifts in your life. This is where self-discipline comes into play. Taking responsibility means making decisions in the moment that align with your larger goals. It's about choosing the hard thing now, knowing that it will pay off later. It's not about instant gratification. It's about delayed gratification. It's about understanding that your current actions are the blueprint for your future. So, instead of getting caught up in what feels good in the moment, scrolling through social media, wasting time, procrastinating, you choose to put in the work that will pay dividends in the long run. Here's where the real power of self-responsibility lies, in your ability to be honest with yourself. And I'm talking about radical honesty. If you want to get somewhere different than where you are right now, you have to be brutally honest about the choices you've been making and the habits you've been feeding. Have you been feeding procrastination? Have you been feeding excuses? Have you been feeding laziness or self-doubt? Because these are the things that keep you stuck. They prevent you from stepping into your potential. And once you own that, you can decide to change. It's incredibly powerful when you realize that every day is an opportunity for a new choice, and that choice is yours to make. If you decide you want to be more productive, you can take steps to increase your focus. If you want to be healthier, you can take control of your nutrition and fitness. If you want to build wealth, you can take responsibility for your financial education and habits. The key here is that your life reflects the choices you make. This is not a theory. This is reality. Every small decision adds up to create the future you'll live in. But here's the hard truth. If you're not happy with where you are right now, then you have to accept that you're the one who got yourself here. I know that may sting a little, but it's liberating once you own it. The moment you stop blaming the past or other people or your circumstances is the moment you start taking control. The moment you stop complaining about the things you can't control and focus on the things you can is the moment you step into your power dot. It's a choice every day. You wake up every day and make a choice. Will I take responsibility for my life today, or will I let life dictate my outcome? Responsibility means showing up for your life, no matter how tired you are, no matter how frustrated you feel. It means doing the work even when you don't feel like it. It means holding yourself accountable, no matter what the world throws at you. And it means realizing that you are the only one who can determine your success, your happiness, your future. This doesn't mean everything will always go according to plan. And it doesn't mean that you won't encounter obstacles. Life will throw challenges your way that's inevitable. But when you take responsibility for your actions and decisions, you take control of how you respond to those obstacles. You own your response. You have the power to choose how you react when things go wrong, how you handle setbacks, and how you keep moving forward. The power in taking responsibility lies in your ability to act in the face of adversity, to not allow obstacles to derail your journey. The difference between people who succeed and those who don't is the ability to stay in the fight. When you take responsibility, you show up. When you take responsibility, you keep going. When you take responsibility, you never quit. And finally, let's talk about the ultimate realization: you're your own hero. You've been waiting for someone to rescue you, for life to hand you a break, for someone to come along and tell you that you're good enough. But what if the person you've been waiting for has always been you? What if the solution to your problems, the key to your success, has always been in your hands? You are the one who has to make the change. You are the one who has to put in the work. And you are the one who can create a life beyond your wildest dreams. All right, here's the thing. Life is not going to wait for you. It's not going to stop just because you're struggling. It's not going to pause because you're feeling lost or because you've hit a rough patch. The clock keeps ticking, the world keeps turning, and the opportunities keep slipping by if you're not paying attention. So go ahead, own your life, make your choices, take your power back, and then get to work. Because the best version of your life is waiting for you, but it won't wait forever. Now get out there and make it happen. The world is yours for the taking. Let's go.